I have made a few goals / changes, things over the weekend to try and just sort of make general changes to things. One, after my latest haul of books from Goodwill and Second and Charles on Wednesday last week when I went to Marietta, my bookshelf was already full before I even brought any of it home. So I had to make some arrangements. So I decided to redo my bookshelf, which took a few hours. Lena? We pretty much never open the blinds, and I was like, you know what, today I kind of feel like opening the blinds, and now they're super excited. Anyway. So yeah, I redid everything on my bookshelf, took everything out, laid it all out in front of the couch, tried to look through how I wanted to reorganize things. I initially kind of grouped stuff together thinking, hey, the rainbow thing looks really cool, I want to try that. But I did everything out. I was just like, yeah, no, this isn't gonna work for me, because that divided up a whole bunch of my series, and that just, I can't. So I also tried looking into doing different genres, but then I wasn't sure, like, okay, how am I gonna like group them together? And then I just sort of ended up with this, where it's like half divided into genres, because I brought them over by genre, but then I pretty much just put them together by size and series. So like all of my tiny little rom-com books are in the corner, and Nicholas Sparks, etc. are in that top corner, because they're all pretty similar sizes. All my Bibles together, these oddly shaped taller books, novelty books so to speak, all of my Twilight in English and French, House of Night, which I'm still collecting, but I'm only one book short of having them all, having bought them all secondhand or inheriting them for free from various places. We have Allegiant and Hunger Games, Love and Thumps, what else is back there? Vampire Diaries and stuff. I've got my French Harry Potter and etc. random standalone French books up here. This is basically almost an entirely Harry Potter shelf, apart from the fifth wave and like the 3 to 5 rando French stuff up here. I have my work in progress series of unfortunate events. I started working from the end of the series backwards, since the end of the series was what I was least familiar with when I was rereading it all for the premiere of the first season of Netflix's adaptation. Got all my Da Vinci Code so far, and first couple books of Jason Bourne, and a couple other drama stuff. Childhood books here, Phantom Tollbooth and Wayside School, because those defined childhood a little bit. Got sort of classics, and as other people have called it, like mental health sort of books there. North and South, and my Doctor Who Bibles, as I like to call them, because of their binding and everything. And Pretty Little Liars, etc. So yeah, it's kind of a jumble of everything. I've got the other shelf over there as well, which has most of my newly freed up space. But I kind of did a mix of genre, then size, and kind of alphabetical order from there. Ace! You cut it out. Ace! Not food. So yeah, I made those changes with my bookshelf. and that ended up freeing a bit of space even after putting in the new books that I got on Wednesday. I decided to finally get around to, like, for weeks I've been planning of, hey, I'll just, Ace, don't make me lock you up in your carrier, 'cause I will. You can't behave yourself. For weeks I'd kind of been planning. I have a few hours of free time before work in the morning, since I don't go to work till like 3:15, even though I leave an hour earlier than that. An hour and a half really. But I've been meaning to try and be better about not being super lazy and trying to like talk myself into like going to the gym or something, so I can just do walking or something, since it's been super hot out every day and there's not really a good like walking place here that I know of, at least. It's very hilly here, as opposed to, well, the old apartment was super flat and they had a specific walking trail, so it's a lot easier there, even though it sucked in the heat still. But the gym, I keep like putting it off every morning because this, that, and the other, and I'm just like, I don't know. But I did it today, so I actually went to the gym. There was one other person already there, and I finally braved myself. Before at the other apartment, we tried going to the gym a couple of times, but other people kind of like left and decided not to go in. But there was one person actually there already today, and I braved it. I went ahead and decided to try and ignore it and just go onto a treadmill, and it ended up not being too bad. I actually like how they have it set up here. Ace! That's it, baby kitty. You're going in kitty prison. You can't learn to not eat things, then you're gonna go in kitty prison. Just how it's gonna work. So anyway, as I was saying, before Spades decided to be a complete and total jerk, Luna, do not even. I will come for you. Learn from his mistakes. Be a good kitty, okay? Anyway, so the way they have it set up here is like the individual treadmills and like step climbers, etc. all have like their tiny little personal TV that you can plug into, and it has like a little tiny remote built into it, so you can change the channels. It's just cable, but it's nice having it set up where it's individual, and there's a spot for you to just plug your own headphones into so that you can be the only one listening to it. Actually, I don't think there is like a public volume option. I think it's just if you use headphones that you can hear it. But anyway, so yeah, that ended up working really well, because I know at the old apartment they just had like, you could use for like different areas of the room, like each wall side of the room had their own TV to share. So it kind of worked out better this way, because then one, you're not having to figure things out with another person if you're like working next to each other, but also like you don't have to like have everyone else listen to what you're watching or whatever. So I ended up looking through things, ended up watching a bit of the game plan, and ended up doing like a quick mile, and just for today to get started with things and like ease myself into, okay, I'm actually trying to do this. So yeah, I revamped my books. I actually finally started my goal of trying to go to the gym / do walking more often because I need to get back to that. I also am kind of thinking of making changes to my general video habits, because things have been so slow paced when I'm here, and honestly the few times that I've been going up to Marietta, I kind of have been spacing on actually recording stuff of when I'm with chillins and everything, unless it's like for birthdays, etc. Like the whole day when I was there on Wednesday, like I didn't record anything yet. We were with the kids like half of the day, and there was, if it, like in the past, I totally would have recorded a bunch of stuff and everything, but I didn't take pictures or really anything until I came home, just to take pictures of the books that I brought home. And between that and just like not much really happening here most of the time, February of the whole booktube community thing, I have kind of been considering kind of switching over to more doing that stuff, because that's kind of inadvertently what I've kind of been doing with a little bit of this lately, especially back at the beginning of the year when I was driving home and doing vlogs that way, and just kind of talking about what I was reading and doing different rants and stuff. And I kind of think that would work well if I can like find people that I can talk to and like interact with on a more regular basis through that than how I've been doing elsewise. That would be lovely, because things still are kind of like isolating here. But yeah, I'm not sure how I'm really gonna like look into doing this, because I really like still doing like video montages and vlogs and stuff, but it's just there's so little going on anymore that I don't really have a lot to work with. Like, I really haven't even like started anything on the 6-year review that I got all the footage together for, because I don't know if I have enough to really do much of anything with. I have a little bit, but I don't know how it's gonna go. So between that and just things being crazy over this weekend, I haven't started on it. All I've done is gather footage and import it into the editor. Like, I haven't even started at all. So yeah, I'm gonna try and finish catching up on everything there from like the rest of this year that I've recorded. Figure out how I'm gonna go about this whole possible transitioning of my channel, having it more kind of book centered, because that would be kind of a good change, something that gives me something to keep up with, because that's mostly what I'm doing, is just working and reading and not much else except for the occasional visits home. So that would be a great kind of outlet. Plus, I've kind of inadvertently become a major book hoarder as it is, because that's all I do. And the majority of this, like 99% of this, is not even, okay, like 90%, because Got Walls is pretty great, but like 90% of this has been gathered outside of Middle Georgia. It's all from like Metro Atlanta, between Alpharetta and Marietta secondhand bookstores. But anyway, I need to get dressed for the day. I need to figure out what I'm going to do for lunch and dinner at work, and start reading more of my book, because I finally finished 11 Thumps on Saturday, actually. I think it was Saturday. Yes, Saturday. So Saturday I finished the last book, a regular book of 11 Thumps. I finished Ruins of Alder, and then I also read through the whole of the Professor Winziker's proper book for of etiquette for well-mannered sycophants, I think is what it's called. It's behind me. The little tiny tan book. Anyway, so I read that in like the afternoon on Saturday, and then yesterday I finally started reading Pot de Pêche that Nikki lent me, which is a book that's been translated into French but was originally in English, centered on Georgia and peaches. And supposedly from the summaries that I read online, because I was curious like what the original one was, in case like, so I could get kind of a general viewpoint, because the summary on the French version is like a totally different angle. It's like the French one, it translates to like, how do you make the perfect peach? And it's like, you get like these friends, you do this, you spend a summer in this place, ta-da. And the English summary is talking about how it's like for 3 or 4 girls or so that spend summer in Bridgewater, Georgia, I think it is, and end up spending the summer together and becoming friends, etc. I don't think they knew each other beforehand, if I remember correctly. And it kind of was described as a cross between Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and Yaya's Sisterhood. So I'm kind of excited to read it, and at the same time a little bit hesitant, because this is pretty much the first time I've read a French book outside of like French class way back in the day, where I just started something in French without having previously read it in English. So there's a little bit more reading into the context for those parts that I don't remember immediately offhand, like what the French translation is, or the English translation more accurately. So it's going to be interesting to read through. Hopefully it won't take as long as the Sorcerer's Stone ended up taking when I read that in French in transition, because at that time they just had things blocked off where we weren't able to read between calls at work, but now we are again. So hopefully it won't take as long there, but it'll be interesting. And this actually, with this book, it's going to be, I think I'm on book 28 or 29 with this one for this year, because I adjusted my Goodreads because it considers, because I like put in the Giver quartet instead of the individual Giver books into Goodreads, because I have the actual quartet, and the way it's, the pages are numbered and everything, it made more sense doing, no, hold on, I don't remember if the pages are numbered all in one or individually for the Giver. But anyway, stuff like the Giver quartet and the Narnia book that I have, where all of the books are all in one novel, I have them marked off that in Goodreads, but then Goodreads only counts it as one book, whereas I've been counting them as individual books. So between that, if I calculate it that way, Goodreads is saying rather than 30 books, I only need to read about 22 for the year, and I'm on 20 out of 22. So that should put me where I'm in the middle of book 29, possibly. No. Yes. Because 29 would be 21, and then 30 would be 22. So this should be book 29 so far for this year that I'm reading. So that's pretty legit. Yes, Ace, I see you. Anyway, so yeah, I'm almost done with my book reading challenge myself for the year, and I'm pretty excited. I started the year with a goal of only 12 books for the year, and I'm finishing with a goal of 30, and very likely going to be reaching that goal, so I'm pretty proud of myself. So yeah, I just wanted to like make a video kind of explaining what I kind of decided on / planned out over the weekend. Hopefully this will kind of improve things with where I kind of am with life, so to say, at the moment, and just generally. And hopefully it'll be a good time. But anyway, I'm gonna go continue being productive for the day now that I got step 1 out of the way, and release Ace at one point whenever I'm done letting him have a timeout. Anyway, so I'm about to actually leave for work for a minute, but decided to do a end of morning like check off list thing of everything I managed to do today. So I managed to actually go to the gym for once and cross that off my list. I read a bit of the Budapest early this morning. I made lunch and dinner. I made pasta with chicken, the Parmesan cheese pastaroni. I also, let's see, I was working on stuff on my computer, sending stuff to Ed, but anyway, I kept up with journal stuff, finally finished catching up with a reading journal, with filling things out from when I finished the last of the 11 Thumbs series, making sure that was updated. I watched a bit of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt because I haven't watched that show in forever, but I kind of grew a little tired of it initially when there was just the first season, and by the time the second season came out I was like, I don't know, but I'm kind of between shows right now and the new season looks good, so I decided to try it again. So I watched the first like 5 or so episodes throughout the morning, and yeah, now it's time to go, and I had to keep stuff. I think I have everything. There was something else that I was supposed to mention, but now I can't remember what it was. Let's switch over here. But anyway, it's been a good kind of productive day. Oh yeah, I canceled like appointment stuff since we're switching dentist and all that with the new insurance. I had to actually call people and be like, yeah, so I need to cancel this and this. So yeah, that was productive and social, and now it's time to go. And yeah, life, fun stuff.